So I know we're all running a little late on schedule. So let's get started. Please connect the machine. Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Sukriti. I am a technical evangelist with Microsoft. And this is welcome to the first look at Azure Mobile Engagement. It's a feature that is currently still in preview. So there are quite a few things that I will not be able to answer for you, and due to shortage of time, we might have to take a few questions offline. I'll be around, that's not a problem. I'll be here in this room or right in the opposite room, so you can track me down any time of the day if you have questions. Let's quickly get started. Now, as we see, mobile engagement, when I talk about mobile engagement, I don't mean mobile engagement as a service. The amount that customers actually interact with applications these days is much higher. At some point in time, it was all about the web, when everybody wanted to create a web application for their product. Now, if it's an e-commerce site, if it's a game, if it's banking application, all of them have moved to the mobile world. Now, where does that leave you? This session is particularly relevant for the people that are actually building the applications. This is not from a customer standpoint. This is from the people that are building the application, the marketers, the strategy makers, the people that are actually developing for those applications. This is for those people. Now, we have a lot of choices available to us. If you were to think about a simple example, I would say taxi services. If I would just ask the audience, could you name a few? Ola's one, yes. Meru's one. Taxi for sure. Sorry? Radio cab, exactly. Yes, Uber. There's a lot of them. So, how this is, they're all providing the same service. They are going to give you cabs. But how are they different from each other? They will have to have differentiated features for you to want to use those applications instead. Like, why would somebody use an Ola cab over an Uber? Or why would I use an Uber over an Ola? I particularly am a fan of Uber, basically because they give me that extra something. Like, if I were to complain to them that this person, the cab person, took me to a wrong route, he charged me extra money just because he went through a longer route, they actually did reimburse the money. So they actually reimbursed 85 rupees to me because that fellow took me to a longer route. Now, what is mobile engagement? What does it actually mean? So, how many of you have heard of push notifications? I'm sure people have. Okay, that's fantastic. How many of you have used Notifications Hub on Azure for push notifications? Okay. How many of you have used generally push notification service across platforms? Okay, so you generally understand the concept behind push notifications. Basically, you will send outside of app notifications to the person that's using the application to maybe pull him back to the application, give him some kind of information that something's changed in the application, things like that. Now, Azure Mobile Engagement is something similar but builds on top of that ability. Like, if I get a push notification saying from Flipkart saying there is 50% sale today, if I click on it or not, or do I dismiss it, that kind of information is really important for the people in the back end who are tracking that marketing campaign, so to say. Right? They would want to be notified whether if there were 100 users, only 50 clicked on it. Only 10 actually even saw it. For 10, it wasn't even delivered. That kind of information is what mobile engagement is very useful for. Okay? Now, when we talk about actionable insights, you get all these insights. Basis these, the keyword here is actionable. Like, I can actually identify the analytics from whatever push notifications, whatever marketing campaigns that I have created, and I can take actions and consequences for those particular targeted audiences. So if I were to say that there were people that logged into my application this one time months ago, they only installed it once, never came back. So how about I give them some promo code a push notification specifically just for those people who've not come back to my application in 1 month, or who've not seen my application in the last 6 months, or just one time they launched it. And it just sends categorically to those people a promo code that please use this promo code. We haven't seen you use this app for a while now. Come back. So that kind of action you can actually take just by identifying, okay, this person has not come back to the application. Yes, please.
Does the application identify it, or is a third-party application going to identify it, and then Azure Mobile Engagement is going to send the notification and then track it?
No. So you can use, basically, using Engagement SDK, which you will include in your application, it will collect all this analytics data. Okay, it will pull back into itself and it will show you, suppose I am also the person that is looking at the dashboard, or I am going to look at the REST APIs that the Engagement SDK exposes. Now I can pull from that big data that I have collected and analyze, okay, only those people never come back to, who never came back to the app. And I can programmatically send a push from my backend or from the dashboard. I will show you guys the dashboard so you get a clearer idea of what I mean by categories, so to say. Now, value-added push, as I said, it is very important. Let's actually move to the, so as I already spoke about actionable insights, basically this is what actionable insights would mean. Okay. Now, I can run ad campaigns specifically, as I said, people who come back, people who don't come back, in-app purchases. Think about in-app purchases. There are only about, out of the 100% of the people that use your application, there will approximately be only 1-2% who will actually spend a lot of money in your app. Okay, they will purchase, if it's a game, somebody who's really addicted to the game will buy a lot of in-app purchases. He'll buy another character, he'll buy another accessory, he'll buy another level, so to say, or extra booster, anything. Okay, those kind of things, those are the people that are your advocates. Those are the people you want to target. So, if you think about it this way, how would you, so to say, pick an app? Like I want to get a notes application. I want a sticky notes application. I go to the store. How would you conventionally, what would you look at? What are the parameters that you would look at to choose the app? Rating. Exactly, right? Rating. Then reviews. Screenshots. Exactly, number of downloads. Now, mobile engagement is going to help you as the app developer identify those people that are really into your app and send a push notification to rate the app just to those people. Okay, those are your advocates. Those are the people that will give you a 5-star rating and a rave review. And if you have a rave review, other people who want to look at that app will read those and be inspired to download the app. Simple as that. Now, for the developers, as I said, we have open APIs, REST-based APIs. They can be used for everything that I can do on the dashboard and more. They can be used. And you can integrate your mobile app engagement with your CRM systems that you have and use that information to just enhance the kind of engagement that you are creating with the customers. Data protection and privacy, of course, Microsoft has been in the enterprise space for very long. We do not collect any data that is PII. So it is more demographic based data that is collected by the Engagement SDK. It will collect whether, what gender it is, or it will what geolocation. So all of these capabilities, by the way, the person that's using the app it's an inherent feature that he'll have to say okay. It is okay if you track my location. It is okay if you send me push notifications. These are all features of the platform itself. So it is not that anything will happen without his permission. He'll be notified, he'll know. So there's no data privacy issues. From a data destruction standpoint, if I were to delete a particular user, everything that I have ever collected for that user, his device ID, his location tracking, what he's done in the app, where he's been, everything will be wiped out clean and clear. Nobody can retrieve that data. Okay. Now, why would you use mobile engagement? I'll give you scenarios here. Okay. The first one I've already spoke to you about. You need to reach the relevant people that are actually, okay, I will illustrate this with an example. Say I am a very avid user of Flipkart app. Okay, I really love the Flipkart app. But there are things that I have put in my wish list. There are things that are too expensive that I wouldn't buy on a conventional day. If there is a sale, I might. So what Flipkart sometimes does is it sends me a push notification just telling me about there is the same genre. Suppose I have tagged some line of clothing in my wish list. It's going to send me a push notification just saying, okay, so and so % off on this line of clothing. Okay, it gives me very targeted push notifications, which will actually have me interested. I do not really care if it's a men's line of clothing that they're sending a push notification about. That is just an irritant to me, right? It is not relevant to me at all. So that is the main purpose of mobile engagement. You target the right people, get the right audience to use your application, and in a sense, everything boils down to get more money, right? So that's how it is. Now, when I talk about welcome strategy, somebody, as I mentioned, if he's not been back to your app, you can send some promo code, right? Like for a taxi service, so to say. I have received a lot of messages from Meru because I stopped using them altogether. They keep sending me all these promo codes. Please use, you have Facebook for that example. It keeps sending you all these email notifications, right? I have not been back in, say, 10 days. This is all you have missed. Okay, it will say this is all that you have missed, and if I see an interesting story there, I will click on it and I will go back to my portal. That is the kind of engagement we are looking at here from a welcome strategy. That it pulls back the person up from the last time that they used the application. Now, promoting new content, if it's a news application, there is a new, Times of India does this really well. If there's a new article, new post that has happened, they will send you a push notification just with the headline and a starter of the news, and they'll say, if you're interested, you'll come back. You'll open the application. And when rating the applications, I already told you. Like when you're talking about advocates, people that are really engrossed in your app, that 1%, 2%, send them a push notification saying, would you like to rate my app? We've noticed that you have you've been using our app for a while, for so many, quite some time, or if it's a game, so to say, if I've reached level 100, I could be interested. If I've reached level 100, I'm actually interested in that app. If I just played 2 levels and I just quit, I'm not really interested. So you can track that kind of information also in the application from a developer standpoint, from the person that's building the application. Another few examples, I think we'll come back and cover these later if you have time. Basically, tutorials it's not mandatory to keep tutorials for everybody. Sometimes people just understand everything just by looking at the UI. But if you're, example, there's a game that I play, I'm forgetting the name, but basically it's a level-based game, very like Candy Crush. And it's level-based, so I was having trouble clearing this particular level. So it automatically identified that, okay, I have been stuck at this level for the last 5 days. Okay, it gave me a notification saying, hi, we've noticed you're having some kind of difficulty with this level. Would you like to use this booster that you have? Sometimes I did not even know, I did not notice that I have a booster lying there, right? Things like that. So tutorial could be that. Or you could ask people like, okay, you're having difficulty with this feature, here's a tutorial, do you want to see it? That kind of information you can provide. This is more on the same, so I'll skip this quickly because I don't want us to spend a lot of time here. I want to be able to show you guys the portal and give you a demo properly. Then how does mobile engagement work? So every time somebody is using your application across any platform, whether it's Windows, iOS, Android, I am, as a developer, I have integrated the engagement SDK, and I am pulling the data, how the user is navigating through my app, what all buttons he is clicking, what all ads he's clicking. So if mine is a free app, the only way I will make money is ads, right? Now, how would you think, if I had one capability that I could completely track what are the pages that the person is more likely to go? I have 20 pages in my app, but there are only 4 or 5 that everybody really uses. Everybody sees it all the time, and they keep coming back to that page. Sorry, so that kind of information is called user path. Basically, user path tracking is what mobile engagement also does. It will identify how many times, what is the intensity of the 50, 20 users that are using your application, what all pages they navigate from 1 page to 2 page to 3 page, then back to 1 page, then 2 page, whichever it is. And that tells me there's actually a company called SciMob, and basically what they did was they wanted to identify where should we actually place ads so that people are more likely to click on them. Okay, through mobile engagement, they actually realized that usually people, when they're exiting the application, that is the one time that they might be inclined to clicking on an ad. And usually likely to click on an ad between 2 pages that they will navigate always and really fast. Okay, like if there is a next button that happens in a payment process, nobody's going to pay attention to the ad there. Really. So there's no point in changing the ad from one page to the other. There is no point in placing an ad also there sometimes. So what they realized was you should always place the ad at an exit point, somewhere that the person, or an end point where the person is going to finish his whatever logical function that he was doing in the application. Now, so the data that gets collected gets sent back to the Azure Mobile Engagement SDK. This is Mobile Engagement SDK. It will analyze all this data. It will divide all the users into segments, categories of the way they use things. Suppose it is this person's, all the females here at a very high level, all the females in one bucket, all the males in one bucket. It's a sort of big data analysis basically. All the people under the age of 18, all the people using my app from 18 to 20, that kind of segregation it can do. And it will also ensure from you as a back-end person that's going to send push notifications, manage the campaigns, you can send targeted push notifications just to the women under 18. Okay, that could be a very targeted push. That is one thing that Azure Mobile Engagement does. Now, from a CMO standpoint, I am the Chief Marketing Officer. I want to check, I'm the CMO of an e-commerce company, and we decided this is March, let's start an end of season sale. Okay, but mine is a line of clothing, e-commerce site for a line of clothing. That has shirts, pants, women's clothes, men's clothes, children's clothes, all those things. But I want to have an overview, high-level view of how did that campaign actually affect people. How much did people actually buy? How much did the sales increase? Things like that. So you can create dashboards, custom dashboards from the Mobile Engagement SDK portal that is available from like Azure portal. And you can see, okay, graphically it will show you how many active users you had, how many people did what purchase, how many people actually traversed in what scenario, what way, how many people on what platform. So this also in Mobile Engagement notes down, whether it's an Android platform, whether it's Windows Phone that I have more users on, whether it's iOS that I have more users on, how are they interacting differently with the app, all that kind of information gets tracked. For marketers, of course, that data that gets collected, you can integrate it with your Power BI, all your data mining software, and identify and basically enhance the kind of push notifications that you can give to the people. For developers, as I already spoke, mainly it's from an API. Yes, please.
I was just curious that are this collection happen kind of automatically, or you have to say write code on each and every page, kind of a thing that yes, user has come here, now is going here, or does it happen automatically?
So there are some things that just because you enable the engagement SDK on your application will happen automatically, like basic crash reporting, navigation. That will all get automatically sent back to the engagement SDK. Device ID, so to say, that will go back to the engagement SDK.
On the platforms?
Yes, all platforms.
Are specialized for each and every platform?
Yes, yes. So all of them. That should not be a problem. But there are some that, like, if I want to specifically track whether the payment was successful or not, whether I want to track an error occurred, okay, while payment was going on in the e-commerce site, that I will have to program for. I will have to provision for as a developer and write that piece of code saying, please send back this information with the error name or whatever extra information, what page it was on, things like that, back to the engagement SDK.
Button clicks and all those things can be tracked?
They can be tracked. Button clicks, no. Page navigation. Page navigation is automatic. Button clicks also you can. So that's manual.
That's fine.
Yes, you will have to enable that as a developer manually. Sorry, yes.
Like you said, we can also track gender and age of the users. So how will these things get tracked? Like will these also be automated? How will
No, they will be asked. So you as a developer will have to ask that in your application. Yes, yes, yes. So that information can be sent back and then can be integrated. Then that is how you create categories or tags, so to say, and then target people.
Geolocation is all, but that automatic is captured.
So
Like
all of
device,
these are capabilities.
type and models and all those things.
Yes,
Just like Google Analytics.
No, so Google Analytics does a lot of things without asking you, like it will go through your mails and things without asking you. That is not going to happen here. The only thing that it's going to specifically track is device ID. Okay, and that is a capability that is being enabled. By you as a developer, you'll have to enable that capability in the manifest file. Okay, so every time as an operating system itself, when the app is first time installed, it is going to ask you, can I send push notifications? Can I send device information? Things like that. So the user will have to explicitly say yes or no to those. That way.
Specific data mining tools, like we've collected all this data, like about the company and page navigation,
Yeah,
and maybe the demographic data or any sort
Correct.
of measures or dimensions you can define.
correct, yeah.
What are the data mining tools, like suppose as you gave example of CMO, I'm sitting in my office. Can I create some app, just sort of a dashboard app which can sort of connect and pull this
Yes,
data?
so mobile engagement gives you that. In itself, you don't have to create a separate, you don't have to use a separate tool at all. Mobile engagement has a dashboard option. You can create a custom dashboard. I'll actually, let me just finish the concepts, then I'll show you the dashboard itself, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, from a concept standpoint, devices and users is a very interchangeable term here. For the purpose of mobile engagement, it's basically to identify one particular application on a particular device. Okay, basically it will be a phone device. Now sessions and activities. Sessions starts when an app is app is launched, and ends when an app finishes. Activities is everything in between. So page navigation. Each page navigation will be an activity. I could create manually, as you mentioned, activities per feature, per button click, things like that. It will start another activity. Okay, events could be if payment was successful or payment was failed. That is like a single information that needs to go back to the SDK just to report. It's more for reporting purposes. Same for errors. If there is an error thrown, you can send error messages. So what page was it on? All that gets automatically noted by the engagement SDK. Jobs. Jobs is basically for something that is going to take time. So whether it is an API call, whether the response was successful or not, whether if it's some upload happening, some download happening, whether if it was successful or not. So in that case, you can start a job, end a job, and just track how long. I will ask you this: how many of you have actually installed the TechEd? Not TechEd, Azure Conference application? So there is the feedback page, right? There is a possibility to actually put a job on that feedback page. Start the point where you enter that feedback page. It should start a job. It is going to calculate how much time did the person spend on that page before he pressed the submit button. If he spent too much time, clearly that means there's too much time and nobody will really finish it. Right? That is one scenario where I could use to track jobs. Like, it should not take too much time, it should not be too less time. If he's just like saying tick, 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 maybe it was not authentic feedback, he wasn't really meaning it. Things like that. Then, application information is something that I've already covered, pretty much device ID, gender, birth date, that sort of data. Extra data, you can basically send a dictionary object. The only limitation being it has to be 1024 characters. More than 1024 characters is not possible. So, these are the 4 things that the engagement SDK will do. With all these concepts that I've just explained to you, it will give you analytics. Analytics are typically 24 hours delayed. It's stale information. Basically, the previous day information, it will analyze whatever usage the person has had till now. Yes, please. Done, no problem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, sorry, but the people that are in the rooms 2 and 3, I will come by, and if there are questions there, feel free to ask me them. Shouldn't be a problem. Don't worry, I'm around. So you can hunt me down and ask me as many questions as you want. Monitoring is very real time. So if a crash happened right now, it's going to immediately show up on the portal. Reach is basically for push notifications, in-app messaging, and Reach SDK is for push notifications specifically. For analytics, everything else, right? And you can see there are segments. Segmentation happens automatically. You can also create it from your backend, like, because I will purposely target people who are buying shoes more. Okay, so I will send out shoes-based push notifications just to those people. That is my, yes, please. Yes. So for now, mobile engagement SDK per application is per platform. So you create separate analytics dashboards for each platform. If I'm sending a push notification for the Android app, it will just go to the Android app users. From the back end, you can use that, but this is still in preview, so there's not a lot of information available right now. Yeah. Sorry, we'll just come. Can we please hold on the questions just towards the end? Because otherwise I won't be able to show everything that I really want to. Yes. So cross-platform push is just for what Ujjwal just explained. Basically, let's take this offline. Okay, I'll explain this to you. Okay.
So also repeat the question so that other people in the other room can also hear what the question is. They can't hear you unless the questions are repeated by you.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Thanks. So let's quickly start with the demos. Let me show you what it all looks like. So this is typically what the Azure Mobile Engagement UI would look like. If you want to see how I got here, I go to my Azure portal. I have created, if it will connect. So I've created a mobile engagement instance, service instance there, and I've added a Windows Phone application. Okay, and okay, while this is taking some time, let me show you on Android. So this was previously, for those that don't know, mobile engagement used to be called Captain, if you've heard of it. And Captain was an acquisition by Microsoft last year. So I have a demo application for Android that I can show you. It will give you a general idea on how it does. So, sorry, it's going to work. Okay, so this is what my Azure portal looks like. And, sorry. Wait. Here. Yeah. So this is what my Azure portal looks like. Now I have something called Sukriti WP, which is the mobile engagement application that I've created here. If I were to click on it, it takes me to this application page. Now, if I were to go to the dashboard, there is this engage button here. When I click on this, it will take me to that mobile engagement UI that you just saw. And from there, I can send specific push notifications. In fact, I can even create polls. Okay, like I can create a feedback document directly from there also. So it's taking a little while because the internet is slow. we can take one question. Yes, please tell me. Basic analytics will happen. It is in itself. For I'm actually trying to show the portal. If it will show you the graphically. Same analytics. Yes, tell me. So the question is, how much time is the data retained for the analytics? For the dashboard that you see, it can be from now till since the first time the app was created, installed. Okay? Yes, it will refresh.
Web.
It refreshes.
So the
refreshes
similar thing.
in itself. Past data. So there are REST APIs for the past data that you can ask to retrieve all the information for a particular device. Okay, that will happen. Okay, so here is what the UI looks like. Now I'll go into this Sukriti WP application that I've created, and it is going to show me all kind of analytics for my application. Let me also project my screen. So this is the sample demo application that I've created. Now here, let's go back here. Do you see this here? This is retention. So how many people in the last 2 days have actually still continued, are still active users for my application? How many people in the 4-day period? How many people in the 7-day period? That kind of information. This is for a CMO, right? I would want to know how many people are still using my application. Then when I talk about activities, now activities, as I said, can have activities track page navigation, where a person navigates from what page. That kind, every time a page navigation happens, a new activity starts. You can also add more activities manually. So let's do this. Let's go to the activities page. Let's start activity. Okay. Demo activity. So I say start activity. Now we were talking about real-time monitoring, right? Let's go to the monitor tab. So it's telling me right now, these are the number of, in the last hour, these are the number of active sessions. If I were to click here in last week, it will show me how many number of active users were there in the last week. Okay, let's show by activity. So you can see specifically which activities, or if you want to see all activities. If I say last hour, it is going to show me what all activities have happened in the last hour. So there is one Welcome to Azure Conference 2015 activity that starts when I launch the application. That is how I put it programmatically. As soon as the application was launched, it will start that activity. Now, because I navigated to page 2 was basically the activities page. It also started manual activity, right? And because so these were all automatic. Right, I just named them in the back end while I was programming, creating the demo. I did not enter this information anywhere. But manually also, per feature, per page, I have added this activity here. Now, let's see. So it's showing me what are the current active sessions. This is the demo activity that is currently going on. If I were to go, let me reduce the screen size. And let me start another activity. Demo 3. Or let's call it something else. Let's call it Azure. And I say start activity. Do you see how immediately this changes? It's very real time. So it will happen automatically, immediately, as soon as the app, there are changes happening in the application. If I were to send back to main page, it's going to actually, that activity was registered, but it's not going to show what is the current active activity. It will register here. So it will show me that I came back to the main page. It will show me a spike there. Now, let's talk about crashes. So, you know when an app crashes, there is that particular moment where you don't know what to do, where it happened, how it happened, what should I do to fix it. Right? You have to like manually sit and debug it. track, reproduce the crash itself. Now what the engagement SDK does is at the moment of the crash, it is going to send back some kind of information to the engagement SDK. Let me, if you can see this, so let me crash this application. Can you guess how, this is something that I learned in my college days. So what is the simplest, easiest way to crash an application? Exactly. So that's what I have done here. And if we come back and see here, in the crashes tab, this is for monitor. So monitor is everything is real time. When I come to the analytics tab, you'll see everything's a little stale. It'll give me previous day's information, no updates for today. It's just showing me there is 1 crash per hour here. Right? Okay, I'm sorry. There was about 11 because I did it multiple times before. Keep looking here, okay? I'm crashing the application right now, over and over. Second time. Let's see. Okay, if it will launch. Crash. Now, we know multiple crashes have happened in very short periods of time. How do I identify where exactly did the crash happen? So we go to the details tab, and it's going to show me when was the last occurrence, what is the weekly count in the last week, how many times this crash has happened, and it is going to give me all kinds of information exactly where that crash happened. So if I were to go open details here, it's going to give me stack trace. So it was this page, this method, exactly where this divide by 0 error happened. And this information that it's showing you attempted to divide by 0, that is automatically identified by the SDK, and I have not specified anywhere this information in my code. For unhandled exceptions, it does that for some of them. Now, if I were to talk about errors, in case of errors as well, there is very detailed information that it will give you. So if I were to just come back and show you in my slide, there's a code snippet.
But somewhere in the code you will have to mention, right?
Sorry?
Somewhere in the code
You will have to mention
that captured the crash.
that will capture the crash. Yes, it's 1 line of code. So that is where it is. I'll show you. So there are multiple ways for an unhandled exception, for a handled exception, okay? And you can send different kinds of data. You can send a dictionary object which also sends some other information, whether it's event name, person name, things like that, right?
It's more of a Windows one, so do you do it differently in each platform?
The syntax will be different, yes, because this is C#. You can't do that for Android, right? But the methods, APIs remain the same, right? They're all the same APIs. So syntactically, it will be slightly different.
In the local, you always decide crash, pretty much. So you still have to catch the crash which is being on platform.
Yes. So you're just using this engagement agent instance that will track a crash wherever it happens. So you can put it in a catch. Then push notifications through the dashboard. Yes, I can. So this was basically the monitoring. I can also send alerts. So when I say alerts, I can ask SDK to send me an email if there are more than 10 crashes for different users in the last hour or in the last 10 minutes. Yes, please. Yes, it does. So, network connectivity, yeah. So when you say there's network connectivity, you can also provision whether some job failed. Okay, you can say that a job failed because there was no network connectivity, because you can detect network connectivity within your application, right? So you can keep it locally, and the next time there is network connectivity, that information will be pushed back to the SDK.
Doesn't SDK provide out of the box that it caches all the notifications?
It does that. So when the notifications need to reach, she's talking about scenario where this event and error information needs to be sent for the push.
For the push.
Then
When app wants to send something,
yes.
let's say
You can provide that.
So do we have to write code, or the SDK automatically captures everything and sends it?
I am not very clear on that. I will get back to you. I will check and get back to you. Okay?
Do we need to crash acceptance in all the activities or in just one place? For example, in manifest file.
It depends on what kind of reporting do you want. It will give you the stack trace. It will tell you where the crash happened.
Can happen in any of the activities.
Yes.
So do we need to define that acceptance in all the activities or just at one place?
No. So even if you put it in one place, it is going to send that information back. But if you give a particular name of the error, so when you're sending the crash back, right, you can send the information that I said along with that crash that happened. So you can say crash happened in this error. Okay, that information will not be sent. If you send a generic one, it will still go one place.
So for example, in Android, normally there is an option of reporting crashes.
Yes.
So wherever crashes happens, you can report to the Play Store.
Yes.
And see on those Play Store.
Yes.
So for that, we don't need to define any of these activities. So
Yes.
that is taken by default care by
Same.
Android.
It's
So
like that.
I just want to know in this SDK,
Hmm.
do I need to write specifically, for example, in case of manifest file we have in Android,
Hmm.
do I make a loading a manifest file and that will handle the whole
Crashes.
application, or do I need to just make any class or activity which is into the application
So
handling the crashes?
for crashes, you will have to put at least in one place the code specifically to send back the crash to the mobile engagement SDK. This is not done implicitly. This is not done, at this point, it's not done implicitly. There are very limited details that I can tell you about right now. Once maybe this goes to global availability, we'll be able to talk about it in much more detail. Right? So let's start my first. So I have already created a campaign here. Just, okay. If you can see my, I'll just project the screen here. So let me create a new campaign, okay? I will create a new announcement. It should say hello. It's simple toast notification, the most basic of its kind. You can, if you see on the left hand side, there are options to also create polls. So it's going to send a generic JSON and it's going to identify on its own that, okay, there needs to be a radio button, this needs to be a yes, no question, things like that. So let's say campaign, Azure Conference demo. Category. Here is what I meant by I can specify whether it's users that have been using my app since forever, users under 18, things like that. Since I've not defined any specific category in my demo, I won't mention anything here. Let's change the delivery time to any time, whether it's in session, whether the app is currently running or not. And I'll say hello, and I'll say welcome. Now, sorry. Here I'm going to pick only notification. If I wanted, I could actually add a web view. I could add a URL and you could navigate, click on the push notification, show some message, and then if I press a button, say OK, it will navigate to that URL. That can also be done. Yes, please.
Is the push services going to work with the web applications also? Like there's a scenario in which we are making a web app
And
for mobile.
Yes.
Like in community edition, we
Yes.
are having provision. Visual Studio Community Edition.
Yes.
We are having provision. So is this going to work with that also, web application?
Okay, so the question for the benefit of our people in the other rooms is whether the SDK will work with web applications. Captain as a product does work with web applications, but there is, at this point in time, mobile engagement does not have that capability. It is simply for the 3 mobile platforms, Android, Apple and Windows. Yes, please. Sorry? Like? It will still work. So at this point, there is no, so to say, I cannot say yes or no, whether it is there. There's no capability released right now.
But can't you push through any other technology like SignalR or something else?
I couldn't say.
Can't you make a
No. So that's a different thing altogether. So this is built-in platform, right?
Yeah.
built-in platform?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
got it.
yeah.
So let me do this. Let me simulate. It's going to check how many devices. I have tested this demo on multiple devices, so it's showing me 4. There are various features that you can see how many, what is the start time, when should, suppose If I want to target people only in the US, I could do that also here. Set the time zones, things like that. Now, this here is my device name and device ID. If I were to, no, this is just for testing purpose. If I say create, if I hit create here, do you see here it said hello welcome? Here. So this information has come soon. This particular toast does not really do anything except for come back to the application. That's about it. It will just launch the application. I could also make it navigate to a web view, do things like that, but I've not done any of those. Very simple. What you asked about the this, you have to do it one by one for each device. No, this is just for testing purposes. If I were to create, like I'll show you the announcements that I have here, right? Once I've created them, everybody that installs this application from the store, they will get that campaign for as long as it's running. So here this campaign is still in progress. If I go open it, basically it's the first time that this app gets installed, it's going to send that push notification which says yellow mic testing. Okay, it's a toast notification that will come automatically. If I were to really pick any of your devices right now and deploy this, sideload this demo in your application, that's the first in-app notification that you'll see. But I can't demo it because I will have to uninstall it. It will take a little bit of time, so we can probably do this offline if you really want to see it. Yes, you can. So everything that I show here can be done programmatically. This is just for the ease of understanding because it's like a first look here, right? So I don't want to overload you with code. So that's here. Now polls, as I mentioned, I can create a poll and I can create questions. I can expect people to push a button, things like that. Now let's come to the analytics tab. When we talk about analytics, I want to know how many number of active users are there. So it gives you this amazing ability to custom dashboard for a CMO that I've mentioned, right? I am specifically interested only in active users. I am specifically only interested in what is the retention of my application. How many people are actually taking this particular path or clicking on an ad, things like that. So this is how I can change. I can see what are the trends like. I can see what versions. So if I have multiple versions, if I push an update to my platform, it will show you for what versions I can actually see the active user count. I also have the ability here to create the custom dashboard this way. I'll go to settings. I'll say send to dashboard. As soon as I click this, it's going to ask me. So multiple dashboards I can create. Which dashboard I want to add it to. I've called my dashboard also dashboard. So let me pick this one only and I'll say okay. And it says new chart added. Now if I were to go to dashboard, we will see from all the retention overview, all this information. This is real time, so it will keep updating every day. This is stale information obviously since from yesterday or day before. This is not today's information. But it's going to show me activity count, active user count. This is what got added just now. Do you see? So another thing that I have not shown you guys yet is this user path. Now these are all the activities that have happened while a person, it's a congregation of across devices. I have tested this application on 4 devices. Every single device, what all activity it actually started, ended, where the crash happened. So the red dots are the crashes, where I purposely crashed the app. Okay, and these are the navigations that typically happen. So the arrows, the thickness of the arrows will show you what is the intensity. So basically I start, and this particular activity is the activity that starts, I know it's a funny name, Yankee Doodle activity, but I called it that. So that's the one that starts on page 1. As soon as the app is launched, that is the first activity that will always happen. Okay, there is a lot of navigation between page 3, page 2. So here I can actually reduce it. It will show me the intensity of how many average users that I'm keeping into account, how many people are actually doing this kind of navigation. Why would this be useful? Like I mentioned for the ad, where would you place the ad? Here it's telling me most of the times this is the thickest line, and then this one. The 3-page navigations basically. There are 3 pages, and between those 3 pages, that's the maximum navigation most of the time that it will happen. Those activities are very repetitive. So I will place an ad there and make sure that, okay, that gives me an idea, okay, somebody will click on the ad.
So can I attach an event with this user path? If something happens, something will happen like that.
So that is exactly the reason why. So events, you can, but it will be from the back end. It won't be from the dash. From this portal, you can't do that. It's a back end thing. Yeah. That's all programmatic. Now, sorry. Let's, yes, please.
Along with the number of times the particular page is displayed, can we even record the time the user is actually using
All that.
so based on that time we can
If you dig deep, basically if you pull the data from the back end, it's going to give you device information, geo-tracking, that kind of information it will send. So it will also tell you what time, when, how many people, in the last hour, in the last week, in the last month, in the last year, since when the app was launched.
usage of the app. I'm talking about the particular page.
At,
Like the data shows that one graph user path.
correct, user path, yes.
We have that one mechanically using.
Yes,
So what if that page is like a splash page?
yes, yes, yes. So you can, okay, you're concerned about whether the activity was actually a point, like if it was a splash screen activity. So if I click on this, sorry, right click on this, it gives me, I'm sorry, it's not showing here, but it gives me an option to delete this activity. Okay, so if I, as a person who's created the app, I know that this is the first page activity, that this will by default be every page. So here, if I click the cross, it's going to remove this from this user path. Now it will tell me this is the biggest activity that happened after that. Yeah. Yeah.
Coding, through coding.
Through coding directly.
Spent. So that is the purpose of jobs. Right? How much time that somebody spent on a page can be tracked by something called a job. You start a job as soon as the page navigation happens, and as soon as he navigates away, you can end the job. So jobs are what will track the time duration. Okay, you can use the job API there. Then now when I talk about segments was basically the categories that are here. Let's create a new segment. I will call it Azure segment. I'll say create. Now it's going to ask me what kind of criteria do you want to create. Okay, so whether I want people to be segmented on the basis of the activities they're doing, on the basis of the jobs that are happening, on the basis of how long their sessions were. Sessions and other things. So a session is how long the application was alive, right? Somebody was using it from start to terminate. Or how many errors happened. So if you can target people that have had more errors, right? You want to fix those particular errors, gives you high priority errors that are happening for more number of people. That kind of information is going to help you save your resources, fix the errors that need fixing faster. If I'm seeing only one error on my machine, but there are 10 people who are seeing this other error, which error is more relevant? That's more critical, right? There are more people actually seeing that error. So that kind of information also you can get from here. Let's do this. Let's start crash, the basis of crash. So define the crash that should match.
This
If
is
I
an
were
integration
to,
platform.
okay, here, of all the crashes that have ever been recorded in my mobile engagement SDK,
Even if you
it's very smart. As soon as I start typing, it'll start giving me suggestions. So let me pick one, okay? And I say next. It's going to identify what exactly crash it was. Now it's going to ask you when. So in the last week, last month, this month. I can also set a custom specific time period, whichever I want. So let's say all the time, or let's say last week. Okay? Then let's say next. Now it's going to ask if I want to set what is the criteria. So what is the minimum number of crashes that it should, okay. we're running short on time, so let me just quickly wrap this up. Now, let's say it's at least. So there were at least 2 crashes registered, okay, in total, or in the last week. There are other options also, but because I've given, I think the last week criteria is giving me just this option. I say next. And it's going to ask me what should be a meaningful criteria name, because this is something that you can access from your backend. So you give a meaningful name here, and I finish. So then it will start showing, okay, it will start showing me what are the criteria, how many number of users, what all has happened here. Basically, graphically, it makes it very nice to see. I'm sorry? Because it will take time to create it. And they have already told me to get out. So I'll just finish quickly the PPT. Basically, these I can share this with anybody who wants it. For the pricing right now, since it's in preview, its pricing is per active users for your application, and it's really, really cheap, as you can see. These are the actual prices which will be for global availability, but currently they're half. So for 0 to 100K, it's 0.005 at this point. Okay. Now, for you to get started, basically just go to azure.com and go to documentation. There is an option there, mobile engagement. You can get started there, sign up for the preview, see what it's like, play around with it, it'll be good. And let me just, okay. So there's an HOL here, which might be relevant for people who are interested in notifications. And I'd really like for you guys to give me your feedback for your session, so I can improve on what should have been covered, what should not have been covered. If you ever want to reach me, please find me on Twitter. It's at sukhsharma.com, SUKSHARMA. And that's about it. If there are questions, I'll be outside and you can ask me as many as you want. Thank you.